Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Howdy, y'all. red.olaughlin here. Typically, we have a 6-part series on some aspect of health or wellness. We just finished not planned for 8 parts, but it ended up being 8 parts on cancer, its options. And we talked a lot of detail. If you're interested in cancer, you have any friends that might have it, family members, might be something of immense value to you. So please go to the archives portion playlist on USA Global TV on the YouTube channel, and you'll find that particular session. Typically, I would start with a new 6-part series, and I'm thinking very seriously about looking at the scientific aspects of weight management, because it's not the simple calories in, calories out, and that's it. It's a little bit more complex than that. And then once you understand the other variables that really do have an impact, then all of a sudden you say, oh, now I understand. And that's hopefully at the end of that series, you can have, I understand. Regardless, health and wellness. I'm not a medical doctor, never have been, never worked in the pharmaceutical field, but I love chemistry. I fell in love with it many years ago. Got a degree in it, got an invitation to Vietnam, never got a chance to practice it. So came back, couldn't get in that field right away, so let it go. And all of a sudden, a few years back, my wife had some breast cancer. I got involved with a few other things. I had been writing and speaking and doing a lot of stuff on motivation, self-improvement. And I rediscovered my love of chemistry. And since then, I become really focused on the cellular parts of the body. What's going on down there? From a chemical perspective, what's causing things to happen? Can I speed this up? Can I slow this down? And if it's something that I need to slow down or stop, can I do that? And so I helped her a lot with the side effects from her chemo drugs and radiation. And we had a very successful time ameliorating all those kinds of things. But nowadays, I use my chemistry background to research the human body, primarily in the area of longevity more than anything else. But let's go ahead and start the slideshow here today, because I think it's important to get into that. Next slide, please. Let me just get that one. There we go. Okay, and readjust the whole world. A couple of weeks ago, I was getting ready to release a book I had written on how to write a book and publish it for free. It's available, by the way, on Amazon. It's available on my website, red.olaughlin.com. But I was getting toward the end. I needed to have a few things done. One of the big ones was editing. My wife had read through it. I had read through it. I'd let it sit aside for a couple of weeks, come back again. I'd run it through Grammarly, run it through a lot of things. And I said, somebody told me I could use ChatGPT to edit. I said, well, that's kind of neat. And they said, not only that, everything is going to be absolutely perfectly edited. Grammar, syntax, diction, spelling, punctuation. I said, that's pretty interesting. So I went ahead and I pulled up some YouTube videos, started going through there, getting appreciation for what it can do. And I saw one that had about 15, maybe 20 different commands. And it got around to editing and doing things. I said, yeah, I can do this. And so I signed up. They have a free one, ChatGPT, I think 3.0 or 3.0 or 3.5 is free. The 4.0 is $20 a month. Being an independent publisher, I work with a lot of different authors. It's something that I think I need to be able to have. I also be using it probably in some of my forthcoming books. But I did a few simple searches. Yeah, I'm really impressed. Did a few simple edits. Yeah, that'll work for me. Then I started editing my book, and I found out that not everything means the same. Typically, when I say edit, you go through there and you find out what's misspelled, what punctuation, etc. Well, when I use edit on ChatGPT, it really means summarize. So I have a 3-page chapter. It summarizes it to 2 paragraphs. A lot of stuff got left out. Not exactly what I wanted. However, if I said edit for punctuation, it did a great job. If I said edit for spelling, edit for grammar, edit for whatever. If I say edit for an 8th grade reading level, it will do that. There's a lot of things there it can do. And in the process of preparing for today's program, I said, see, I really and truly think that the AI might be of immense value for our health and wellness. I did a couple Google searches on that. I looked at a couple YouTube videos, and I came to the conclusion that there's a lot of stuff out there that if we had our own personal concierge doctor that we could call 24/7 and say, hey, doc, what do you think about this? Or can you explain this to me better? We would have the ability to have a lot of influence over our own health and wellness. What are we really concerned about from a general perspective? Brain health, especially as we get older. Heart health, that's one of those ones that can kill you in a heartbeat, literally. Our gut, because that's our second brain, and there's just so much things going down there. But we also have diseases that we may have. We may have high blood pressure. We may have type 2 diabetes. We may have 2 or 3 other things. And the option of getting dementia or some other kind of disease may not be that far off, especially if I have problems today. And so the medications that go with those things are all part of the package. So if let's say that let's say I have cholesterol issues, I don't, but let's just say I do, and I have a medicine for cholesterol, and I want to come in here to Chat GPT and say, what are the side effects of this particular drug? And I can say, what food should I eat in order to minimize? In other words, I can just literally ask it questions I would ask a doctor sitting on the other side of me. What lifestyle do I need to change to improve my diabetes, my cholesterol, whatever it may happen to be? Lots and lots and lots of questions that could be asked. So we'll go over some of those down the road. But then all of a sudden I start saying, how can I make this work for me with regard to my health? So there's a lot of commands, and typically the ones that we would use most would be, well, tell me, how do you do this? What is this? So if I want to know, what is this particular thing? I just ask it. If I tell AI to give me my response back at a 5th grade level, an 8th grade level, college level, whatever level that makes it easy for us to understand. If I just do, it says, tell me about lifestyle changes for a 75-year-old man with high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and pick another disease, doesn't matter. And all of a sudden, it's going to come back to me. It's going to give me, just inundate me with information. Maybe that's too much for me for what I want to understand. So I say, same question, but give it to me at a 5th grade level. It's going to rewrite everything, and it's going to take out all the big technical words, explain things to you at a level you can understand. And if you don't understand it, you can hit regenerate, and it's going to regenerate the entire thing, give you another answer. If you don't like that one, ask it a 3rd time. It'll keep re-asking and re-asking again. It's your choice. You tell it what you want. I look at it literally as a concierge doctor. Somebody I can go down to the concierge in the hotel I'm at, say, doc, concierge says, I want to get tickets for this event, or I want to go here. Can you show me on the map where this located? Somebody who has intimate knowledge of where you're at and what you need to do and what other people have done that have been staying at that hotel. Well, a concierge doctor, and there's a lot of them here in the Houston area, you pay them a monthly fee, and they're available almost literally 24/7. But when you have a problem, they're there. They know your history. They know more about you than any other doctor would have, because they are your personal concierge service. So from a concierge perspective, you have the ability to ask, those questions that maybe you're embarrassed to ask other places, or you don't want other people hearing you. You ask the question, okay. But in reality, it becomes a support center. It's more than just a concierge doctor. It's really the support center for your health and wellness. If you're taking medications, should I take this on an empty stomach? Do I need to take food with this one? What are the other things, side effects? If I'm having problems, is it maybe because of this medicine? So I can say, I'm having this and this and this. Is it because of my medicines? Or does this medicine give you this side effect? Lots of things there with medications. You can set it up on a schedule of making sure everything's done. Just so many things with regard to managing your medicines and the reordering things, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, a lot of us are interested in nutrition and fitness. If I'm eating a particular meal and I want to know how many calories in this meal, how many carbs, how many grams of fat, how many grams of saturated fat, I just ask it and it's going to tell me. And I'm going to say, well, maybe I want to burn off some calories. What's the easiest way for me in the next 4 hours to burn off 200 calories? And it's going to tell you. You tell them what you are. Okay, I'm a male over 75, 180 pounds. What is the best thing for me to? What things should I consider? Maybe not what is the best, but it may be a walk. It may be another number of other things. Lots and lots and lots of questions you can ask. And if you don't like those, hit regenerate and give you a new set. Mental health. A lot of times we might be a little anxious. Sometimes maybe even just a little depressed over something. Something's happening in our lives. And a lot of times, a lot of our mental health issues are because of B vitamin deficiency. B1, B3 are typically deficient when people have depression and anxiety. Well, there's a lot of other things in there that maybe you just don't want to ask somebody else, but you can ask the system, and it's going to give you an answer back. The biggest problem that a lot of people have with ChatGPT is the answers you get are very sterile, which is fine if it's just you and your concierge doctor. You don't care. If you're writing an article for something, may not be appropriate. There are other things we can do. That's not our topic today per se, but there are things you can do to say, I want it at an 8th grade level. I want a little bit of humor. I want it, whatever it may happen to be. You just tell it and it's going to give it to you. So, but it might also help you with a diagnosis. Maybe you're having some pains in your left shoulder, maybe shortness of breath, maybe your whatever it may happen to be. Tell it what your diagnosis is. Tell it about you. Tell it a little bit about your history. Can it give you a good diagnosis? Should I go to the emergency room right now? And it may say, no, just keep monitoring, or it say, yes, call an ambulance or get somebody to take you. It's good for tracking and trending. If you want to track your blood pressure, your weight, whatever it is, lots of other things can be added in order to make that happen. A lot of people have problems with sleep and other issues. A great deal. I go to YouTube. I use emotional freedom techniques. It's one of those little tapping things that you do with the little mantra. And I find that to really and truly help many, many regards, from back pain to sleep to time zone changes to all sorts of things. But there are some things out there we might want to be able to do to improve our sleep. So ask it the question, you get an answer. Okay, let me tell you a little story here. A couple of days ago, I had ordered a set of goggles. I should have brought them up here, but they're like this. They fit right onto my face. And I've been having a problem now for a few years with dry eye. And it really gets exacerbated when I'm driving the car because the air conditioning comes up, hits me, dries the eyes out. And an hour later, I'm having to put drops in. Or if I'm sitting in a doctor's office for some reason, waiting and waiting and waiting, it doesn't matter what's a doctor's office, but I'm waiting and waiting, and the air conditioning, church is a particular one, I'm sitting there for an hour or so, and that air conditioning will dry my eyes out. Well, I have this little goggle that fits on perfectly well. I'm driving the car. I have the air conditioner blasting at me. No problems. But I started looking, and all of a sudden I could see my wife's front of her face off to my side when I'm looking straight ahead. And I just wanted to make sure I had good peripheral vision with these goggles on. And I couldn't see out to the left. And so I started moving my hand off to my left. About 45 degrees, I can see it very clearly. But as I go back, I start to lose it. I do the same thing on the right, and I go back almost 180 degrees, looking straight ahead, or 90 degrees in this case. 90 degrees, I can still see my hand when it's almost straight out. I'm thinking, is this the goggles? Is this something else going on? So I get home and I do not a Google search. I do an AI search. I say, ChatGPT, what are the possible causes of peripheral vision degradation in one eye in a man over 75 years of age? Well, it came back and gave me 2 pages of stuff. I extracted out the main categories. I said, I could have glaucoma. I could have an age-related macular degeneration. I could have a retinal detachment. I could have retinitis pigmentosa, optical neuropathy. I could have a stroke. I could have a brain tumor. Well, those are the primary causes of me losing a little bit of peripheral vision. Do I have glaucoma? Yeah, I know that. So, but I have some drops I put in, keep that pretty much under control. Not too worried about that. Age-related macular degeneration, not sure. I might have a problem there, but I can go into that and say, tell me more about age-related macular degeneration. What can I do to stop it, prevent it? What are some of the other symptoms? What do I really need to know about AMD, age-related macular degeneration, that I might be able to take some action today? Retinal detachment? No, I don't think so. Retinitis pigmentosa? Probably not. Optic neuropathy? Well, if I hadn't just been to a cornea doctor just literally a week and a half ago, I would say, well, that's maybe, but I know I don't have that because that's one of the things they looked at. Stroke, no. Brain tumor, pretty sure no. So those are things. And so I said, okay, what else should I know? So I said, what can I do to enhance my existing peripheral vision? Maybe there's a way that I can improve upon it. Well, it gave me immediately, again, 2 pages worth of information. And to summarize it, they said eye exercises. And if I wanted to go in and find out which eye exercises, I could print out a dozen of them. Wide angle activities, awareness drills, good posture, regular eye exams, eye strain, reduce your eye strain, healthy lifestyle choices. So I said, okay, let's go down that road. What are some possible healthy lifestyle changes I can make today to improve my eye health? Well, again, it pumped out about 3 pages of information now and just kept going and going. And each one of these topics here, there was a little paragraph or 2 below it on diet. What exactly should I be eating? What nutritional things should I be considering? Omega-3 was one that I have to remember. Hydration, one of those ones we don't think of very often. And it is an issue with our bodies. If we get dehydrated, malnourished, and other things, there are side effects that creep up. Good hygiene, again, not something we think about, washing our hands a lot with the pandemic, but not so much nowadays with just general health. Sunglasses, obviously a good one there. Taking screen breaks from your phone, from your PC, from your monitor. Maintaining a healthy weight. Quit smoking, never smoke, that's not an issue. Practice eye safety, okay. Get regular eye exams, not a problem. Good daily eye health care habits and more. So I can look that up and it's going to give me a list of things to do. And if I want to say, give me this list and what else should I do in the morning, noon, and night, it's going to 7 a.m., 9 a.m., it's going to give me a list by time. I was blown away. I said, interesting. I need to share this kind of information with other people, which is why it came out today in a particular one. So what kinds of things with the typical person who has either the ability, let's say they have a computer. I don't use the phone for these kind of searches just because everything's too small. I like to see the big picture. So regardless, I'm going to say the computer, but some people love their camera, their telephones, and they can do this. But if I want to lose weight, what are the best diets for losing weight? So much stuff in there. And whether it's a Mediterranean diet or a DASH diet or something else, you can say, well, tell me the foods on it. Give me a menu. Help me shop for this kind of thing. You can go down this rabbit hole as far as you want to go. And if you want to start a weight loss program, well, then print me out a schedule for foods to eat, menus, exercise, stress management, whatever, and just go there. Reduce stress and anxiety. Well, all of us have stress. We've talked about this many times on the show. Stress affects us all. It's just like the wind, just like the breeze. It's not what happens to us. It's what we reach out, grab a hold of, and don't let go. So when we're not letting go of something, that's when we start having an issue. Literally 80% of all doctor's visits have some genesis in stress, low level cellular chronic inflammation caused by stress of some sort. So there may be a lot of things. We can do breathing exercises. We can do exercise. We can do meditation, lots and lots and lots of things. And maybe there's some things in there that you're not aware of. There are some YouTube videos that will definitely help. I already mentioned sleeping, improving our sleep quality. Lots of things with sleep quality. I used to read in bed. I gave that up many years ago because when I go to bed, I want to go to sleep. I don't want to go to bed and watch TV or go to bed and read. I want to go to bed and go to bed. And so I sit up in a chair and I read. If I want to go to sleep in the middle of the afternoon, I'll go take a quick nap. A quick nap to me is like 7 to 9 minutes. A long nap is like 20 minutes. But if I want to, I'm tired. Listen to your body. Go do something. Um, what if you think you're depressed? What if somebody says, what's going on? What's wrong with you? And you don't, nothing. It's hard to hide body language. But maybe there's some things in there you can say, uh, hey, Dr. Chat, tell me some of the symptoms of depression. Okay. Well, I have this and this. Is that really depression, or what's my, talk to it like you're talking to a person. It's going to, the more you talk to it, the more it's going to understand you and your uniquenesses. With the pandemic, big deal about our immune systems. And it's a big deal otherwise without the pandemic. What are some easy ways to boost your immune system? Is exercise going to boost it? Is eating fish going to eat? Lots of things in there. But you have to know, take the time, and just pick, what do you want to do today? So some people have cholesterol. It's not the issue of cholesterol, it's the issue of oxidized cholesterol, because that's the plaque that forms in our heart valves and arteries. But cholesterol in and of itself, our bodies need cholesterol. Every single cell in our body needs cholesterol. But there's a whole story going along with this cholesterol phenomenon that we've been looking at the last couple of decades. But for most of us, it's a non-issue. For those people who are on cholesterol medicine, it is an issue. And you can say, well, what can I do to lower my cholesterol? And it's going to give you a lot of items. If some of them aren't what you and your doctor are talking about, print the list out when you go in to talk to the doctor and say, hey, these things here I'm told will stop or slow down or whatever my cholesterol. What do you think? And so now you can get a human to talk back to you and say, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Why don't we try that too? Or there may be some medicine you're taking that some of those other cholesterol lowering issues might be a problem with. And that's the person. And if the doctor doesn't know, your pharmacist would know for sure. What are some of the side effects of medicine? Good question, because everything when you're looking at contraindications are so small. Literally, I have to get a magnifying glass. I look at all that stuff. I'm a big label reader. So you're not going to be able to get, if I have these two different ones that are mixed together, what are the side effects? Well, now you have to have two pieces of paper and you're trying to compare things. Might be a good place to ask. Let's say that you do have something that got your attention, just kind of grabbed you right there. What are the possible warning signs for an otherwise healthy 50-year-old female? Some of the warning signs are a little bit different for male and female, a little bit different sometimes for age. So good place to ask. Maybe you've been having a little bit of digestive issues. How can you improve your digestion? Lots of ways of doing it, but you need to ask the question to find out. One of the banes of society is smoking. Once you get hooked, it's almost impossible to break off. But there might be some things that you don't know about that might work. So ask the question, how can I do that? Something that many people have, probably almost half the people in the United States, blood pressure control issues. If it's high, what can you do? Can I do some meditation? Can I do some breathing exercises? Can I just relax? Can I go outside and work in the, whatever it may happen to be? How do I control my blood pressure? What if my systolic is too high, but my diastolic is fine, or vice versa? Maybe I'm running 130 over 100. Well, that 100 is kind of high. How do I get that down? Well, you have that support group. You have that concierge doctor to ask that question. One of the time-honored health and welfare questions. What can I do to manage my weight? How can I maintain my weight? Hopefully that's going to be our topic next week. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. Mental focus and concentration are the things that I can do to improve my focus because I'm studying for something, or I need to really pay attention to whatever's going on. How do I concentrate better? What are some of the things that I could do before I go into the office to minimize? Maybe I leave my cell phone downstairs and I go upstairs to the office. Well, for me, that's what I do. My phone hopefully is plugged in downstairs. But what are various treatments for allergies? Fresh frozen bee pollen I found was an excellent one back when I was living in New Orleans. I had the same allergy year after year after year. I'm sitting in the third year in the doctor's office and just teary-eyed. And I'm looking at my records, and I was in there the same exact date a year earlier. And 2 years before that, I was in there the same week. And so the doctor comes back and I said, could this be seasonal rhinitis? And he looks at it and said, yeah, probably is an allergy. And so that's a different kind of treatment. Well, the week before, 2 weeks before, I had read an article about fresh frozen bee pollen to use to get rid of local allergies. And so you have to have local bees, and you have it fresh frozen. You take 1/8 of a teaspoon a day, and literally in a year, I'm back there. I have no allergy, same time, bee pollen. lots of treatments that we don't know about. A healthy work-life balance, something that we get home, all we want to do is relax, grab a beer, sit down, watch TV, don't bother me. Uh, but how do we incorporate that balance into our life? What are things that we can do? Maybe I only need 5 minutes of relaxation when I come home, close my eyes, sit down. Okay, now I'm ready to get back to the real world. Um, if you're flying, it becomes an issue, prolonged sitting. If you're in a car all day long, if you're in an office all day long, are there risks? If you're a 35-year-old, uh, is there a really risk? Or if you're a 65-year-old, good question to ask, something to know about. Back pain, something that a lot of us have. Is there an easy way to prevent it? If I stretch it a certain way, does it work better? Anyway, lots and lots and lots of things. But if you want to know it at a certain level, I usually say eighth grade level or less, depending on what your educational. Uh, when I'm doing research, I want references. I was on a program yesterday, and they said a couple lawyers been using the Chat GPT to write their briefs. They get before the judge, and their other lawyers are saying that's not the reference. Well, if you're using a reference and Chat GPT gives you something and it being published, you better darn well sure check it out to make sure it's good. Just because it's AI doesn't mean it can't make a mistake. So if you're using references and you're publishing them on anything, double check, triple check that that reference is a legitimate reference, because that is super important. I did this. I said, give me a daily schedule for stress relief for 75-year-old. Oh, boom! It gave me about 3 pages. Okay, at 7 a.m. do this. 8 a.m. Literally every hour of the day, it gave me something to do. It didn't take very long. It was just little things. But I'm thinking to myself, that if I set my clock, 1 hour to have it, ring and put it on an hour timer, and all I had to do was, okay, now I'm going to do 2 minutes of this, or I'm going to do 30 seconds of this. That would be a good way to get in what stress relief methodology can I do easily that I don't mind taking time. I mean, smiling is one of the easiest, but we don't even think about smiling when we're stressed. Uh, my wife and I walked the Camino de Santiago in Spain, 500 miles. We walked in 30 days. We started walking a year ahead of time. But if I said, hey, Dr. Chat GPT, my wife and I are walking a mile, mile and a quarter a day. I want to get up to 10 miles a day within 30 days. So I did. I asked the question, and it gave me back, it's okay, this is what you need to do. Today do this, next day, next week, next the week after that. Amazing what it gave me. So I'm doing my own test on this thing. I always get C-reactive protein, homocysteine level, vitamin D, and a few others. Annual physical. I haven't missed an annual physical with my doctor since 1968. So I said, what are additional blood tests I should consider when getting my annual physical? And boom, I got about a dozen blood tests. It says this one, and it told me what they were. And I was surprised, no, maybe not, to see C-reactive protein, vitamin D3, etc. So those things showed up. So I said, okay, I'm starting to believe a little bit more in my concierge doctor. I asked the question. I said, well, in the areas that I write, I want to know technically what's going on, because I want that level of detail. So I said, okay, tell me the difference between prolonged and intermittent fasting. What are the benefits? What are the risks? And it gave me about 3 pages of stuff that I pretty much agreed with. I hit regenerate, and it went a little bit deeper. I hit regenerate a third time, and it went deeper. So I said, okay, I can live with that. Autophagy, one of my favorite words. It doesn't usually start until about 18 hours of fasting, but I wanted to know what kind of level. So I said, when does autophagy start when I begin fasting? And it didn't give me a good answer. And so I asked it again. And I said, how many hours into fasting before autophagy starts? And it gave me not as good an answer as I wanted. I hit the regenerate, and it finally gave me some time. Okay. So sometimes you have to ask and ask and ask to get to the level of understanding that you want. A couple topics we covered in cancer, anoicus and apoptosis. Both are literally the same thing. The programmed cell death, apoptosis, is something each of our cells has. When it gets to a certain age, it programs the cell for destruction. So it's kind of like put a gun to your hip. The gun goes off, the cell is destroyed, and so it's a programmed cell death. Anoicus is the same thing, but more commonly in some of the matrices associated with cancer. and it gave me that level. I wanted to know about lactoferrin and Alzheimer's. If I just say, tell me some of the things about Alzheimer's, I'd have to do 15 probably regenerations. But if I ask it a specific question, boom, it's going to give it to me and do a decent job. So those are the kinds of things that I liked. And given that being there, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a free tool. Take a look at it. Again, set it up so you know for you the kinds of issues that are important to you. There may be some things not important right now, but it may be important to your spouse, to your one of your children, to a friend, whatever. So I have several books out. My latest one is the Essential Manual for a New Author Guide. And it's basically, in a nutshell, it's how to write and publish your book for free. That was published last week. Understanding Causes of Alzheimer's Disease. That's a compilation of over 40 articles I've written on Alzheimer's in the last several years. Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging talks about the two primary causes of aging. How can you accelerate or decelerate the aging process? The Joy of Ageless Health talks about how disease gets started in our body at that chronic low level cellular inflammation level. And what can you do about it? I mean, just knowing it, but there's several things you can do for each one. And no matter what you can do, it is really an inside look at your subconscious mind. So I can be reached at red.olaughlin.com. That's red like the color, R-E-D. O'Laughlin spelled OLAUGHLIN.com. It was interesting. At a book fair last night, a lady came up, Irish lady, and she says, I have in-laws named O'Laughlin. O'Laughlin is what she said, but they're living in Ireland. I said, well, that's kind of neat. I never knew that. It's not a common name, but red.olaughlin.com, REDOLAUGHLIN.com. And I can be reached at red@o'laughlin.com. I publish books for people, author books. I'm a speaker. More than happy to have you get in touch with me. And so that's going to conclude our session this week on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Next week, we'll be back, same time, approximately 3 o'clock on the Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Central on Thursdays. And we'll more than likely going to be talking about weight management and what works and what doesn't work and what you should consider. Get your questions answered. So with that, I am going to return control back to our production engineer, and I will catch you next week. Thank you very much for joining me today. Bye now.